Hello everyone, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this February 26, 2022. It's being brought to you by WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. Also brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors. As we take a look at the week ahead, well, there's some good news. The Arctic blast that brought severe cold and severe wind chill and areas of snow to many areas of the western United States is going to be easing. The Arctic air will be retreating, moving off to the east, and a warming trend for many areas in the west will be developing. We'll get a Chinook east of the Rockies. It'll be a little bit colder for you folks west of the divide as cold air is going to get trapped in the valleys. Rain and snow will be coming into the Pacific Northwest, so Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, parts of Montana. Those are the areas that are going to get wet this week. Longer term, the pattern gets colder and getting more active by next weekend and after next weekend. So there's going to be some relief from the cold, kind of a little bit of a spring-like pattern for the next 5 to 7 days, but don't expect it to hold. By next weekend and beyond, it turns colder and more unsettled in the western United States again. Over the past 7 days, precipitation has been a little bit better, notably Montana picking up some decent precipitation this week. Of course, it's all in the form of snow in the Arctic air. Same for the Dakotas. We saw some nice snow in the higher elevations from Southern California through the mountains of Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. And you can see some snow up into the Cascades in the Pacific Northwest, but not too much moisture getting east of the Cascades. Some areas right here, this is the first precipitation they've seen in a while. And if you were to look at the precipitation anomaly, above average precipitation here in Montana and the northern plains, still below average for the past week, even with those rains and snows in the Pacific Northwest. You can see this area of above normal precipitation in the mountains of Colorado. That will certainly help the snowpack. Drought monitor conditions. Now, a lot of this drought monitor does not include the precipitation that has most recently fallen. So we might see some improvements in next week's drought monitor here and here as well. But if you look at the change maps, only some improvements here in the higher elevations of Idaho. We saw drought conditions get a little bit worse in northwest California, as well as parts of Wyoming and New Mexico and parts of the Plains states. As we take a look at the weather pattern, this is what we're going to have for this upcoming weekend. Arctic air is going to shift into eastern Canada, and it's going to be more wintry in the Great Lakes, the northern plains to the northeastern areas of the United States, still warm in the south. There will be this area of high pressure building in off the west coast temporarily, bringing in some mild temperatures. And what this will do is this will bring moderating temperatures and cause the Arctic air that's over the western United States to get pushed to the east. However, by next weekend, we see a return of high pressure in the Pacific, which then in turn brings that colder wet weather back into the central areas of the west, the Pacific Northwest, western Canada, into the northern Rockies and the northern Plains states. So what is likely going to happen is that we're going to turn colder and more unsettled by next weekend. But there's a large chunk of next week that'll bring moderating temperatures. Now, over the next week, notice these red and orange areas here. In Washington, Oregon, Northern California, into British Columbia. This area is going to get into a more active pattern of rains on the western coast areas, heavy snow in the Cascades, but could even in the eastern areas of Washington and Oregon and some areas in Idaho, looks like a wet pattern. Lighter amounts of precipitation spreading into the central and northern Rockies by next weekend. However, next weekend, the week after this one, this area will start to see more in the way of colder and wintry weather returning to the area again. The snowfall forecast shows those heavier snows in the northwest mountains of the United States and a little bit of snow in the Sierra Nevada and into the basins and valleys here in the northwest. Temperature-wise, here's the warm-up. These orange colors here representing a good old-fashioned Chinook wind along and east of the Continental Divide here from southern Canada through Montana, Wyoming, Colorado into the Plains states. So this is going to bring relief from the cold. The blue here represents the colder air that's trapped from the recent Arctic wave that came into the Pacific Northwest and parts of the northern Rockies. Our next update will be the 5th. Have yourself a good week ahead. Enjoy the warmer temperatures as we get relief from the Arctic chill. Enjoy the week ahead, but after March 5th, do expect it to turn colder and more unsettled again across the